Boom. People are already here. Somebody like, I'm already here and I'm with it. Whatever he finna say, I'm with it. All my people here with it. Everybody rat tat tat. Talk about this and that. Everybody with it. Everybody come around and get it. Somebody this, everybody get it. Everybody with it. What's up? I see you, Mr. Bugner. I see all y'all with it. Everybody rat tat tatting. Everybody going around ratting. Everybody with it. All my hitters out here with it. Oh no, finally somebody, the notification man must be asleep today. He's like, the guy be hitting that block on the notification button. I guess he's asleep today. So we get to sneak some in. People getting their notifications. Don't wake him up. Let him stay asleep. D-Wade don't want no smoke. He ain't want no smoke with Karl Anthony Towns. You see, I sent that to him on the gram. See if he respond to that. You ain't want no smoke with the cat. Cat be like, look, I got dog tags on that. Cena on the road. Absolutely. And everybody's talking about, yeah, when he wake up, he gonna be like, Cena went live twice. Notifications went out. What? Hit the button. Hit the button. So anyway, Cam Newton, ladies and gentlemen. And oh yeah, that link I sent you is how you guys could donate. Because the super chat button here is not working yet. So until they get that situated, there it is. Now, oh, he must have woke up. He woke up. He hit it. Like, uh-oh, we just spoke too much. We was too loud. We woke him up. He didn't hit the stop button. Like, stop that flow. That's all right, though. That's all right, though. Hit him for a little quick ones. Then we out. Now, here's the problem. Cam Newton is suffering from the same things Donovan McNabb has been suffering from his entire career. Donovan McNabb had one of the most successful careers as an NFL quarterback, despite all the inflictions against him. From the moment he came in, the Eagles were 2-4 when Donovan McNabb came in and decided to let him play. They had a very dismal season. Then they start having 11-5 seasons. His quarterback rating was 104s, 80s, high 80s, his entire career. His last year in Philly, he had a 92% rating. They were like 11-5 and went to the NFC Championship game. McNabb had led them right back in there, but they got beat by a better team. And then he was traded. He was just cast to the side. The star quarterback who was consistent. And ever since they made that mistake in 2009, it's been about 10 years of suffering for the Philadelphia Eagles until last year. Until 1 year. They've only had 1 year, and that was this year. And they went all the way. By happenstance, the light just shined on them for the very first time. Now, Exactly. Andy Reid should have went before Donovan McNabb. But let's look at things from another level or another perspective. We got to look at what's really happening on the inside, because from the organization, all those years, Donovan McNabb has been a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm gonna see how many years he was there, from 23 to 33, 10 years that he spent with the Eagles. In 10 years, can you name another receiver on that team besides Terrell Owens that was a superstar? What superstar tight end did he have? He had Westbrook. No, he had Deuce Staley under his rep. Deuce. We respected the Deuce. He had Westbrook, and then he had another receiving back. Brian Westbrook was the last one. He had another one before Brian Westbrook. I can't think of his name. He had another receiving back that he had. Nah, it was Westbrook, and it was another one. Nah, it was before Westbrook and Buckhalter. It was before them, I think. Because I think Westbrook took his. My boy he's a Eagle fan to the heart. He would know the whole roster, but they didn't have anything. Look at Cam Newton. What superstar receiving core did he have? What superstar player has he had on his team? They've given him scraps. He went to the Super Bowl with scraps. And you know what them scraps did? They dropped the ball. People talk about how bad Cam was in the Super Bowl, how bad he was. Go watch the game. Guys were wide open, dropping passes that was hitting them right in the hands. The whole Super Bowl. They got to the biggest game and they failed it. Never got him a receiver. The Eagles had T.O. for one season. One season with Terrell Owens. And look what they went to. The team took off. He had Steve Smith was already on the team. They had Steve Smith, who was already on the team, and they had Cam. They never gave him no pieces around him to build. They had the guy that used to play for the Bears as the tight end, Olsen, who was good. Olsen was a good tight end, so I won't take that away from him. Then they got rid of Steve. The running back situation was a joke. And he's like, well, Cam could run the ball. And look what they did to Donovan McNabb. All those years of accuracy, his numbers was right up there with Brett Favre's. Every year, from touchdown to turnover ratio, was way better than Brett Favre's. But they never gave him no help, did they? Never built anything around him. They never said, "Well, let's go get him a veteran receiver. Let's try to help our quarterback get some passes out there." You know what they say? Oh, our quarterback, well, he don't need to pass. Passing's overrated. I know. It's sad. He had who? I think it was Brian Mitchell they had on the team. And Brian Mitchell was the guy he used to throw to out the backfield. I think that's the guy. Was Brian Mitchell. Mitchell used to catch the ball receiving and get all those yards. So before Westbrook, he had Brian Mitchell. That was his guy. Deuce was just like, I ain't no really, receiving back. They made him that. But that's the strategy they used. And that was what a key receivers was the running back. Not utilizing the fact that Donovan McNabb is a quarterback. He could throw the ball down the field. And once they got T.O., then you start seeing them light it up like, wow, we could have been doing this all along. Yeah, get him some help. Mr. 4th and 27. Brian Mitchell. That was his name. So, yeah, that Brian Mitchell play. That used to be their bread and butter, but the Eagles could have won Super Bowls. They could have been in the Super Bowls plenty of times had the Eagles went out and spent money and got wide receiver help for Donovan McNabb. But you know what they didn't want? They didn't want the success of Donovan McNabb. And that's the facts. The NFL did not want that at that time. They didn't want anybody, they didn't want the league becoming what it's coming now. And it's like it's inevitable because they know at the skill position, they want to have a quarterback there who's Caucasian. Let's be honest. It is what it is. Mike Vick was the they never seen nothing like Vick. Vick was something else. He was so fast to be the quarterback that if he decided to run, there was nothing you could do about it. Now, imagine if he was an accurate passer. Vick could throw the ball. He had an arm like a cannon, like Brett Favre. Boom, an Elway. He could throw the ball so far, and he could run. He just had no accuracy with it. So the thing about him, if somebody get open, he would kill. So they had nothing to do. Like he destroyed Green Bay in the playoffs because they couldn't catch him. It was like running on ice. He gets momentum going, and it was a snow game. They couldn't do nothing to grab him. It was like, dude, he went to Green Bay and just tore them apart. No, the league let them do that. They wanted to send a message to Cam Newton after the Super Bowl because he didn't stay there to finish the questions for the press. So the next year they were mad he ducked out of the Super Bowl. He didn't answer no questions. I don't remember Tom Brady answering no questions last year. I remember Tom Brady ducking out. Nobody saying nothing. Nobody gave him no slack, nothing. I mean, Cam was sitting there answering questions. He didn't leave because of the press. He left because y'all interviewing him right next to the doggone team that just beat them, the Broncos, and they was in there talking crap about Cam. Yeah, we knew he was gonna give us a couple. They all in his ear, and he hear that. He's like, man, I'm out. Like, let me get up out of here. I don't want to hear this. Right. Cam out there getting hit in the head, and then y'all sitting over here paying all these lawsuits, changing the game now where you could barely tackle anybody, trying to protect players from concussions. But what players are you protecting from concussion? Because if Cam ends up with a CTE, guess what? Talking about, well, he's so big. He's so big don't mean you hit him in the head. They don't say, well, if you're this many pounds, you should be able to take the hit to the head. That ain't about it. The rules say you can't hit nobody in the head. And y'all, they were allowing it. Now, his head coach should have been thrown out. Rivera should have been on the field and been ejected. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. They want to try to control the narrative. But if you look at the college games now, who are the quarterbacks? You got more African American quarterbacks ever than there's ever been. And look at the ones who are Caucasian. What are they doing? They scrambling. They running. They are running, passing quarterbacks. They got to run the run option. And what happened? They tried to ban it forever and stop the control of the game. It's ruining the game. That's why they put Cam in the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, the pocket passer. They wanted to show the pocket passer will beat this type of football all the time. Peyton Manning could barely throw the ball 5 yards. He up there old, and their defense won despite of him. They were just like, don't turn it over. He threw one pick, and then they were like, okay, we got to just run the ball from here on out, Peyton. We'll take it from here. They wanted to prove that the pocket passer was the better option. You had a pocket passer with Warren Moon. Warren Moon was the greatest, probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. If you took his stats that he had in the Canadian League and put in the pros, they said he wasn't good enough to be a pro, so he had to play in the Canadian League, where he lit up the Canadian League. Warren Moon destroyed the Canadian League. Came into the NFL. They said, all right, well, we think he's good enough now. Went to the Houston Oilers, and there it was. That three amigos tearing them up, lighting up the scoreboard. And they would have been in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for them collapsing a 21-0 lead at the halftime. They were up 21-0 and lost the game. No, he did have receivers. He had the three amigos, baby. Moon had them wide receivers, and they were lighting everybody up. Yep, the man could throw the most perfect spiral you've ever seen in your life. Warren Moon. Ball be perfect spiral when it hits your hand. I met him in Hawaii. Didn't know why he was down there. He was there for some event. They had a game, a Legends game. They were playing in the sand. He was still throwing tight spirals. Oh, man. Look at Moon. So here's the situation. You have Randall Cunningham. Now, Warren Moon was never a runner. He was never a running quarterback. He could scramble for a couple of yards, but he was exactly what you wanted a quarterback to be, except for he was black. And because he was black, Warren Moon's name was hardly ever mentioned. When they talk about the greatest quarterbacks ever, you hardly hear anything about Warren Moon. But he was exactly, you know why you don't hear it? Because he's against the argument. Because you can say, well, what about Warren Moon? Warren Moon was a pocket passer. He was black. He defeats the argument. So you can't throw Warren Moon into the mix. You got to use Randall Cunningham. But back then it was Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon. That was it. That was all you had. That's why on the TV show Martin, when Randall Cunningham was on there, and they called, she's like, "Ain't you a quarterback? Ain't you Warren Moon?" He was like, "No, I'm the other one." Right, I'm the other one. Because when Randall was there, they made fun of him because Randall was the one that scrambled, but he was winning. When he scrambled, he was winning. He had a strong arm. He was getting it done. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl. You never hear about him. You never hear about Doug, except for he's the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. So I remember they asked him 20 years later when they had like, "Oh man, another black quarterback is in the Super Bowl. Don't you think you think black quarterbacks have made it now, Doug?" He said, "No." It's like, why not, Doug? Because you're here asking me this question. And that was the perfect answer. Black quarterbacks haven't made it. Why? Because you're here asking me this question. If black quarterbacks have made it to the point where we're past all that, why would you be asking me the question? Which is the perfect answer, because it's the truth. Had they made it, you wouldn't be saying, have black quarterbacks that made it, Doug? They would just be quarterbacks. But when you still saying black quarterbacks is in the Super Bowl, have they made it now? Like, no. And the proof is the fact that he's like, when y'all stop coming to me, Doug Williams, and asking me questions about black quarterbacks, then I know we've made it. But just the truth. When they just say, well, the quarterback is this guy, well, the quarterback is this guy, and you don't have to put black quarterback in front of it, then there you go. So when Randall was running, they mentally got in his head, the press, writing all these things. If only Randall Cunningham would be more like Joe Montana. If he was more like Joe Montana and stayed in the pocket a couple of times, anytime they lost, they never looked at the fact Randall Cunningham didn't have anything on there. He had Chris Carter, and all he did was catch touchdowns, so they traded him. They traded him away to the Vikings, and they never been the same since. That's right, Ty shouldn't. Yeah, well, the thing is, these guys never were going to get in the game. You think anybody's getting in over Bradshaw, you definitely was smoking. So Randall Cunningham decided to be more like Joe Montana. He wanted to show the press, I could stay in the pocket and throw the ball. So he stood in the pocket, started throwing the ball, lighting it up. He had a big game. He had like 200 some yards passing. This is the Randall Cunningham. See, if he stayed more in the pocket, he would be like this. Man, Randall was incredible today. He ain't got to run. You got running backs. Just be the quarterback. Look at what he did today. So he started doing it more and more because he was reading the press liking it. Then he stayed in there and somebody jumped into his leg, broke his leg. Broke Randall's leg. Jumped right into his knee. The play that's outlawed once it happened to Brady. But they jumped into his knee. Broke his leg. And once his leg was broke, he said, see, this would have never happened if I wasn't listening to y'all. Y'all wanted me to be more like Joe Montana, and I tried to prove I never got hurt when I was scrambling. Never. I get hurt when I'm trying to be like Joe Montana. Yep, they got to him. Michael Vick, same thing. Vick stayed in the pocket, threw for like almost 200 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns. He's like, all right, now I did it. I passed. I done did all that. Now stop saying I can't pass from the pocket. I just showed you I'm in the pocket and I done threw for like 200 some yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm done. Stop saying I can't throw from the pocket. So what happened? Vick gets hurt from staying in the pocket when he should have been running. Because they keep trying to make somebody who has God-given ability into an average human being. Stop trying to turn Superman into Clark Kent. You don't want Clark Kent in there. We need Kent in there with the ball. No, you want Superman behind it. I need Superman with the ball. I know what Clark Kent gonna get him. We might win the game, but we might be in the struggle. I ain't trying to do all that. Y'all trying to turn Superman into average men, and that's the problem. Donovan McNabb was a pocket passer who could scramble. Who could throw from the pocket better than anybody. He preferred it. He was accurate. He was tough. He was well spoken. He was the good guy. He always smiled. He did the chunky soup commercials. He was fun loving. He was everything you wanted in a quarterback, except he just happened to be black. So now you got another Warren Moon situation again, except for Philadelphia, the owner, everybody. I blame them. They never got him any help. As long as they were winning and they were going to the playoffs with Donovan McNabb, they didn't care. They was like, well, the team can go to the playoffs. They're good enough to go to the Super Bowl. And that kind of mentality is the reason why you were losing. He was overachieving with what he had. He had Brian Mitchell, Deuce Staley. These guys would have been role players at best anywhere else. By them reinventing the system to where they were passing more to the running backs and had them more doing like Marshall Faulk back in the day. Marshall came in and reinvented everything because he could run, he could he could receive. They were the greatest show on turf. He's first ball in Hall of Fame anytime he go in. Russell Wilson isn't as fast as Vick. Vick was the fastest thing on that field since Randy Moss. Him and Randy Moss were probably the fastest players ever in the league. I mean, ever. So Cam comes in there. They say Cam can't pass. Cam is not accurate. Cam can't do this. Cam can't do that. What Cam is doing is standing in the pocket, throwing the ball. He can scramble. He's built bigger than all them dudes. He's built like a tank. He's built like a tight end. And he can throw the ball downfield. And he can run it. He can get you wins. Carolina, do you know where you would be without Cam Newton? Do you want to know where Carolina football would be without Cam Newton? He's the reason y'all got them doggone statues out there. Y'all were like 1-5 before Cam got there. Y'all were like 1-15. Y'all were a long way from them Super Bowl days. There's been a lot of torturous moments with Jake Delhomme and everybody else they kept throwing back there. I know they had Todd Pinkerton, and now they had my man from Chicago, Dalton Bears. They had my man Jason Avant out there. They had Freddie Mitchell. They had some. But it's funny to me how a quarterback, as terrible as they are, lose all these games, they'll keep him on the team for 7, 8, 9 years. Matter of fact, they bounce him from team to team, and he still has a job in the league. But meanwhile, RG3 can't play. They just write him off as a guy who couldn't play, even though he had a successful year. But you see Paxton Lynch, you see all these other Trevor Siemian, these guys who could probably win a couple games, and then that's it. They just bounced around the league. You saw the guy bounced around on 3 different teams. He was back on the Broncos. Who's that quarterback? He went to the Texans. They got rid of him quick. They gave him like $20 million, bounced him out, sent him but he went right back. He got like 3 paychecks, 3 monster checks. They traded to get this guy. $20-some million they paid him. Osweiler. Yeah, Osweiler that made like 30-some million in a year in the NFL. He was on 3 different teams. Brock Osweiler. Man, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. 4 years, $72 million. And he got like about 20-something guaranteed because they kept trading him. The Broncos let him go. They picked him up. They was like, hey, man, y'all got to get rid of him. Then they like, we don't want him. Take him back. Deshaun Watson took his job so quick. They still wasn't convinced. They still tried to play him. He's going to be the starter. Like, oh, really? No, he ain't. They snatched him out after the 1 half. Deshaun Jackson came and lit the league up. People don't even remember. He was lighting the league up last year. He was going to be MVP. Do you know what Deshaun Watson did last year? Do anybody know what Deshaun Watson did last year? People must have forgot because before he got hurt, it was no question. He was averaging 4 touchdowns a game. Do you understand what was happening? He was averaging 4 touchdowns a game. Do you know what he was doing to the league? Do you know what, even the games they were losing, he was putting up 4 and 5 touchdowns a game. He had 22 touchdowns in 7 games. 22 touchdowns in 7 games, and nobody talks about it. Not one person was talking about it. Oh, that could he play? Could he not play? He probably ain't ready. They should go with Osweiler. That's the smart thing to do. He gets out there and he lights it up. He made them a contender. He made the Legion of Boom look like the Legion of Damn. What happened to y'all? He tore them up. Nobody mentions that. It's all about Carson Wentz. Wentz, 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 Carson Wentz. And I like Wentz. But you see what happens when the narrative change? He's a white guy that runs the ball. Nothing wrong with that. Steve Young didn't stay in the pocket. Then when Wentz tears his knee up, everybody looking like, oh, what happened? Exactly. We see what happens when he gets hurt. I believe the Giants, I don't know. I think they made the right pick. They needed a running back. More than they needed a quarterback. They could win with Eli. Eli could get you to the playoffs. Do you know playoff Eli is a monster? He plays in the playoffs. Last time they was in the playoffs and they played, and Odell Beckham, when they had the boat party, them boat guys failed the team. Not him. Eli was putting that ball right where it needed to be. They was dropping. Playoff Eli is a monster. So you need to get him to the playoffs. So you needed a running back. The Giants needed a run game. They needed somebody they could rely on in the running back position. That's when they dangerous. They had Tiki and they had another guy that can come in there and be the bruiser. You had to have the combination back there to take the pressure off Eli. But now when you try to make Eli try to be Peyton Manning and beat everybody throwing down the field, that's not Eli's game. Right, get a ball to Jacobs. Big bruiser. Then you hand that ball off to somebody else. Boom. Oh, yeah, that's the donation button in case you guys want to donate. You can either go in the description box or it's right here in the live chat. There you go. See who's going to be in the leaderboard. You can leave messages there and stuff too. Let me check it out. Oh, my man Lansky. I see you. Salute. Lansky from the Star Support. That is Lansky from the Star Report. Keep my foot on these bozos' neck. All right, Lansky made a donation. All right, I see you, Lansky. Kelvin Benjamin got a ball out this year? Maybe. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here, Reese. You know, I know they probably send you late, but it is what it is. We know the game. I agree with that statement. I'm an opinionist. That keeps me from being sued. That's all you say to keep you from being sued. That's a disclaimer. I think he should have went because now I've already made a video talking about T.O. in that situation. Of course, I think T.O. should have went. I understood why he did it the way he did. He brought a light to a subject about players not going into the hall. All these people waiting 28 years, 48 years. But T.O. wasn't doing it for that. T.O. was doing it about him. This had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with those guys who had to wait 28 and 48 years. I understood the platform and what he did, and so I was like, okay, he did what he wanted to do. That's fine. But to make that a standard, no, because now you're making it all about you and saying you're more special than the rest of the guys that's going into the hall. That's how it looks. You could have done all that during your acceptance speech. You could have went on stage and you could have told them, because it would have been very much more televised and publicized there at Canton. You could have went on that stage and said to these people, that sports writers that's doing it, they're doing a terrible job because they shouldn't be allowed to put people in the Hall of Fame. They shouldn't have that power. Because at the end of the day, they put you in the hall. I mean, your stats put you there, but I don't agree with the system anyway. I don't think sports writers should be required to make the selection of who goes into the Hall of Fame. Your numbers and all that should reflect anyway. You know, T.O. was Hall of Fame first ballot, period. That's it. He was first ballot. Should have been. Shannon Sharp to me, first ballot. But like he said, we don't care about that. You in, you in. That's what they care about. Did I get in? And Shannon's right. At the end of the day, don't people look at those guys who waited 28 years to get there. The guy that waited 49 years to get into the hall. Do you think they was up there bitter that it took them so long to get in there? They waited a lot longer than you, Terrell. They waited 28, 49 years to get into the hall. Yeah, it was a shame. They should have been in a long time ago. But did you hear the bitterness in their voice? Did you hear any sorrow or I'm mad and all that in their voice? No, you didn't. You didn't hear any of that in their voice. What you heard was the gratitude and the happiness and the joy that they was actually home. They felt they were where they wanted to be. 46 years for Jerry Kramer. Dr. Death had to wait 29 years. But you know what? They were happy to be there. They were just happy to be in the hall. Because in the end, what you see is that it doesn't matter if you didn't get in first ballot or second ballot, third ballot. The matter of fact that you're there and you're in the hall, that's the achievement. That's where everything's at. They earn the right to be there. 46 years is nuts. There's a lot of players like that should be in the hall. A lot of players that's not going to go because they got, they're not going to put players that's like Darren Sharper. Darren Sharper is a Hall of Famer by stats, but he is never going in. Never. Date rape charges. No, he ain't going in. See, that's when what you did off the field, it matters. Charles Haley never did nothing off the field. Charles Haley was just a problem, period. With his attitude, he had a crazy sense of humor. Steve McNair was ruined by, he overcame racism. Steve McNair was a great quarterback. Great. You see what happened when he went to Baltimore, turned that franchise around, brought a professionalism to it. But the fact is, it's the business that happened to McNair. It wasn't racism, it was the business. But he got his knee injured after having a stellar year for the Tennessee Titans, got his knee injured, and he's trying to rehab and get back to form quick because he wants to get back into the season. So he's in there trying to work out, and they barred him from working out at the gym. because the business thing is it's good. They want to see their quarterback doing this, but they getting ready to go into the Vince Young era. That's why they got Vince. They want Vince to be their guy. And when they got McNair and they see him in there, he's working hard trying to get himself back. If McNair gets hurt or re-injures himself on the property, they would be stuck with McNair's contract. They wouldn't be able to move him. If he re-injures that knee, they're stuck with him. So if he gets injured and they're rehabbing on the property of the team property, then they stuck with him. So it was a business decision, but it was messed up the way it happened. You locked out Steve McNair, and Steve wasn't really like put up an argument. Everybody around him put up the argument. Hey, how dare you do that to Steve McNair? They locked Steve McNair out the building. They were the ones going off. Steve McNair was just like, it's business. I get it, And they ended up having to trade him. You couldn't bring him back after that. Man, after that Steve McNair stuff, that's why I feared for Floyd, man. I'm like, man, I feared for Floyd during that time. And Floyd was paranoid too. Floyd was like, man, that's why I don't let chicks sleep in my house. You sleep in the other room. He was like, if you gonna sleep in the house, I can't sleep next to you unless I really know you. You ain't finna be killing me. But all it takes is the wrong chick who don't care. She's emotionally unstable. That's why I get rid of those chicks quick. If I see an emotionally unstable girl, yeah, you might be able to sleep with them, but then you can't get rid of them. She come over with a gun. How you do this to me? Bow, bow. She already thinking of taking herself out. You had no intentions of taking yourself out. No, Vince Young saved Steve Fisher's job. Steve Fisher was about to be fired that year. Vince, because they were mad at what happened with Steve McNair. So they were going to start a whole new, get Fisher out of there and everything. Vince Young turns around the season, just being Vince, doing what he done all the time and won all those games, came back, and they made the playoffs and all that. It saved Jeff Fisher's job. They made it look as if Jeff Fisher is the reason that all this happened. Look at Jeff Fisher. He's still coaching. Look at, he should be coach of the year what he's doing with Vince. It's like, no, Vince was making all that happen. Vince was making it happen. And he saved Jeff Fisher's job. Jeff Fisher got a raise. He got re-signed. He stayed with the team. And it was like, all right. And the next thing you know, Vince has a bad game. And everybody turns on Vince. He's always had success throughout high school, throughout college, even in the pros. He's never had to deal with a bad game. And what happened, his first bad game, when he was just terrible. The people were booing him. He has never dealt with this a day in his life. He mentally couldn't take it. Started drinking Patron straight out of the bottles. Wow. And they were like, man, let me try to talk to him. Did you know this dude went into a house and had a loaded gun and he was ready to kill himself over a bad game? Vince Young was in the house with a gun in his hand, door locked. Steve Fisher had to come to his house and talk to him because he was just like, man, I don't know if I should live. I should just go. He was drunk, out of his mind. About to kill himself over the game of football. Yep, Jeff Fisher. I'm sorry. Yeah, see, his mom said he was talking about suicide, but he was like, I wasn't gonna kill myself. But the way Jeff Fisher talked to him, and then they want to do an evaluation, a psychological evaluation, and wanted to get him. He wasn't mentally unstable. He was just an alcoholic, and people didn't realize it. This young would drink, 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 and drink. He was an alcoholic, and people didn't know it. He'll get depressed too. He suffered from depression. He'll get depressed a lot. He took it very hard when they lost. He never had to deal with this. That was the thing. He normally has success. When he came in the game, they were having success. Well, he passed the mental evaluation they did on him. So, yeah. All right, Maurice, I'm going to check it out right now because I'm about to get out of here. When's the next hip hop trivia? We might do something tonight, depending on how I feel. We might do something tonight. But I'm going to get out of here, y'all. Y'all have a great day. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock.